back to Chair Shot Reality on WrestleZone.com. It is now NXT in 90. The NXT Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic took place. The second round, and you had 4 winners. You had TM61 thanks to an Austin Aries injury, and Roderick Strong taking on Thorne one-on-one in a great physical and athletic match, but TM61 advances, and Roderick Strong and Austin Aries go home. Also, you saw the Authors of Pain pick up a victory against Rich Swann and No Way Jose, No Way Jose. I love that guy's dance, but him and Swann are eliminated, and for the first time, you saw the Authors of Pain put on a very solid and complete match. Well, you also had DIY, Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Yeah, Ciampa and Gargano took on, or was supposed to take on, the Revival, but yet Scott Dawson on the sideline, a forfeit for DIY, advances them into the next round. And in the main event, you had TJ Perkins and Ibushi taking on, you had them taking on my favorite tag team right now in NXT, Insanity. You know why? Because they're different, they're manipulative, they're dangerous, they're scary, they're everything you want that NXT does not have. Sanity picks up the victory, ends NXT, but this is my one big problem. When you have injuries in 2 tag teams, and then you also have such long breaks between filming, how are you going to continue to make developments towards the tag team division in NXT? 2 injuries means 2 big mistakes and 2 openings on NXT television. Well, that is your NXT in 90. I'm gonna toss it back to you guys in studio. My biggest question of the week: a new Cruiserweight champion in Brian Kendrick and a new Cruiserweight show on the WWE Network. What does this mean, guys?
Thank you, Eisenberg. And yeah, this definitely means something for the Cruiserweights. The Brian Kendrick as a champion, I love it.
I was a big fan of that title win, and it makes his career go even longer. And maybe TJ Perkins gets that chase, and maybe they throw someone else in there go after Brian Kendrick. Well, how long do you think he holds it?
He could hold it for, I mean, he could hold it into 2017, quite frankly, because as we've talked about, the division is so stacked with it's such a babyface flavor with the style of it is the style.
They need more time with the heel to have the belt to
absolutely
to grow more heels.
You can Rich Swann, etc. You can just line the babyfaces up and let them work programs with Brian Kendrick now. So Brian Kendrick is a champion. So now we have this 205 Live. It's going to debut on November 29th, I believe. It's going to go right after SmackDown on the WWE Network. This affects some other things. Before we get to the cause and effect, let's just talk about the show itself. You a fan of this?
I don't know. They keep them exclusive on Raw, and now they're going to have a show dedicated to them.
Which we don't know. Will they still be on Raw?
That's the thing. So I mean, you keep. I don't know. It changes everything that way because they're going to keep the champion on Raw then, or what? How's that going to work?
I think you still. Feature,
and it won't be live. We don't know.
I would assume not. At 10 o'clock. You would assume that this is going to be something they will film at Full Sail, probably on the same kind of schedule that NXT is, where they tape a batch of them, 3 or 4 weeks at a time at a night. I think the show is good. I think it makes sense to do a Cruiserweight only show. I mean, quite frankly, any original program on the WWE Network is good. Yeah. You don't have to watch it, but it's more bang for the $9.99 buck. And this also will give a chance we can learn more about these characters. You know, because again, I've said they've unrolled a lot of guys on Raw, and they gave backgrounds for some of them, backgrounds. But not for all.
They need to grow, and they're not going to give them that ample time.
They can do skits, they can do segments, they can do things. So that's fine with me.
It's almost as if it's like an NXT just for this division.
Right.
Because when Enzo and Cass came up, like everybody knew what they were doing.
Right.
You might know what the Cruiserweights are doing when they go to Raw.
Right. I agree.
Assuming they keep on Raw.
Right. I agree with that. But to me, this certainly does feel like. First off, why did it take till why did you launch a Cruiserweights on Raw in September, and did it take to the end of November to start the show? To me, and I don't know, but to me, because of how this has happened, it kind of feels like this is Vince saying, I don't really want to deal with them on Raw. Here, go play with the Cruiserweights over on the network. Because it kind of feels like the matches are thrown in on Raw. It is a headache for production. You know, I was watching it live in Minneapolis the other week. They physically are taping all these ropes.
Yep.
So they're having to. So the crew is having to do this 2 or 3 times a night, depending on how many matches. Undo it then. You know, I would imagine that it's probably why we hadn't had the Cruiserweights or light heavyweights around for so long, that Vince probably, it does present a challenge from a booking standpoint at times to have Braun Strowman having a match of this style, and then the next segment being, you know, Lince Dorado doing some, you know, acai moonsault.
And they make it seem like the only important match for the Cruiserweights is the championship match.
Right.
Because other than that, it's a 6-man tag here, there, and kickoff show.
Cause and effect. So this is going to go on at 10 o'clock live. So it's going to air at 10 o'clock on the WWE Network after SmackDown's done on USA.
Which interrupts my favorite show on the network,
Talking Smack. This is a big deal. Talking Smack we've talked about that show so much on here because it's generated so many headlines and buzz,
and it generates storylines.
And now they're going to push it an hour back, and then, oh, by the way, the wrestlers that are going to be on it have to stay around the arena for an hour waiting to do it. I'm
sure they're not going to be enjoying that.
Unless they film Talking Smack right away and then they just don't air it for another hour.
See, that could happen. That could happen.
Because for those
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Some of you may know, but for those of you who don't, Tuesday is the last work day. That's the end of the work week for the wrestlers. So if they're on SmackDown, they finish SmackDown. Once SmackDown's over, they've been at the building now for 10 hours. So they are hungry, tired, or thirsty, or a combination of all three. So they just want to get out of that building and go satisfy whatever craving they need to fill. Hit the town, go to the hotel, whatever, and they catch the next morning flight. If Talking Smack is kept to be live at 11, these guys then finish SmackDown at 10, and they have to hang around and wait.
Another hour plus that they have to wait around.
It really.
And like I told you off air, it's building storylines, and it's stuff that you don't normally expect that just somehow happens on Talking Smack, and it's one of the best shows, if not the best show, that they have on the network. And if they're going to push it back, maybe they start doing it taped, and then I don't know. And I feel like if they start taping it, they won't care about it as much and put more of an emphasis on scripting. It's going
to become as
scripted
and irrelevant as most of the other talk shows they do.
Because scripted or not, the show is really good when it's live and it's just fresh. Like, a lot of the guys are still in that zone of cutting promos, and anything can happen.
All right, we're going to let Josh Eisenberg close it out down in Florida. Josh, welcome back. He can hear me? Okay. Josh, welcome back. I want to ask you, is this Cruiserweight show on the WWE Network, is this the right time to do it, and are you in favor of it?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of this, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm scared, Justin. I'm scared that the Cruiserweights are going to be taken off of Raw in the near future and put specifically on the WWE Network. If I had the idea, if I had the opportunity to build this, I would do two things. This is what I would do. I would do the Cruiserweights on Monday Night Raw for one segment, whether it's the Cruiserweight Championship storyline or whether it's a new Cruiserweight debuting, whatever it is. So I would do that, and then what I would also do is for this 205 Live, bring in the Cruiserweight Classic guys on a weekly basis. Give that alternative programming to the WWE Network people who love to see the Cruiserweight Classic. Throw Mauro Ranallo on there, give him some extra work to do because he needs it. But I do think that this is a sign that Vince is saying to people, hey, it's not working as well as they thought it would on the main roster, because whenever you go to little towns like Little Rock, Arkansas, or when you go somewhere else, you're not sure what that's going to be and how that's going to happen and how people are going to care about it. But when you look at it, you need to realize that the Cruiserweights are utilized right now in a good way, but you can't overexpose them. Put them on the network for 1 hour, introduce us to younger guys that might not necessarily be under contract, maybe independent guys who are trying to get a shot, see how that works, and then after that, use that 205 Live show as somewhat of an NXT move and bring them onto Raw whenever they're ready for the likes of Cedric Alexander, Brian Kendrick, and guys like TJ Perkins. So it's interesting to see where the Cruiserweights are at. I just hope that this isn't a sign of things to come, saying goodbye Cruiserweights and no more Monday Night Raw for you. More Chair Shot Reality coming all weekend long. Do not go anywhere.